Document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Sir William Sewell.
The last contribution made by that member and the inane attacks on the senior whip on this side and the Honourable Annie King, sir, reveals why that member has been, isn't a minister, and that more younger MPs have been promoted before him. Sir, what the other side needs to know, sir, is that simply setting a target without a plan makes those targets unachievable, and calling something a plan does not make it so. My colleague, the Honourable Phil Goff, was correct, sir, when he described this government in earlier budget debate speeches as being deceptive, as a deceitful government, sir. How does one describe a consistent pattern of making promises that they had no intention whatsoever to deliver on? This government has deliberately deceived the country by promising a brighter future that they knew full well they would not be able to deliver for all New Zealanders. Instead, that brighter future was simply for a select few, for their big business and wealthy mates, and not for working New Zealanders. To be fair, sir, the deception, I believe, starts from the very top, probably aided and abetted by ministers, but no doubt by John Key, Stephen Joyce and Bill English. Perhaps the only minister that I believe doesn't involve himself in this is probably the Honourable Maurice Williamson, but I don't know. In fact, sir, if we look at the list that the National Party has put up, in 2010, they announced a 6-point plan for securing a brighter future. In late 2011, they presented a revised 6-point plan, this time with 41 actions. As I said, sir, simply having a targets without plan will not make those targets achievable. Key's State of the Nation speech in early January this year, they presented a revise of the revised 6-point plan. And in March this year, Stephen Joyce and Bill English announced again a 6-point plan. A week later in March, Nick Smith announces a released 8-point plan. And now we've got John Key's 10-point plan, which looks like a list of the greatest compiled hits from other lists, and probably looks more like Britney Spears than the Beatles. The point, sir, is simply setting out these targets without a plan isn't going to achieve anything. And simply calling something a plan doesn't make it a plan at all. I want to say, sir, that the disappointing thing for many of our communities today is that they promised 170,000 jobs in last year's budget. Where has that gone? Has that been achieved? No, that was not achieved, one iota whatsoever. 160,000 people are unemployed today, and that's a 51% increase in the number of unemployed people under national. 20,000 more people aged 15 to 24 years of age, sir, are no longer in education, employment or training. And that's been an increase, sir, since December of 2008, since John Key came into power. We now have 87,000 young people not in education, employment or training. We've got 2,500 public sector workers who have lost their jobs, sir, since this government came into power. And this government continues to force government departments to do more and more for less and less. Things will worsen, sir, with a $1 billion slashing in government departments as a result of this budget. Youth unemployment is costing us $900 million each year, according to the New Zealand Institute. There are 36,775 more people on the benefit now than there was when the minister on that side took office. There will still be more people on the unemployment benefit after her welfare reforms have been implemented from when Paula Bennett took office. The number of children living in benefit-dependent households has increased from 199,000, sir, in June of 2008 to now 232,616 in December 2011. 2 in 5 poor children were from households where at least one adult was in full-time employment or was self-employed. The Community Max scheme, sir, failed to get people into real jobs and in one case spent $317,000 on a pumpkin patch. Sir,
Pesitai, Sam Lord Tuienga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure for me to speak into